As promised, DeMarco, we are joined right now by an incredibly successful television producer, a director, an actor. He has a new documentary that is coming out, Jerry West, The Logo, which will premiere on Prime Video, or has premiered on Prime Video, I should say. Kenya, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Mr. Barris.
Yo.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Fantastic.
So good. I have to apologize to you, number one. My brother was so into Blackish when it first came out, and for some reason I resisted until it became a streaming deal. Me and my family have watched that entire series front to back at least 4 times. We love that show to the point where we go, shh, Mom, Daddy's working. We do this in our house every day, frequently. You have to tell me, are you Andre Johnson? Did all these stories come from you? Are you that guy?
They did, bro. That was my life. Yes. I mean, Anthony is absolutely Anthony, and he's a beyond talented, but that is absolutely straight from my life. All right, so much so when I used to watch it, I used to tell the kids before we watched it, I would pause and be like, oh, I forgot to tell you guys. This week is about...
Well, then one more. Then who is Rainbow in your life? Because I love her.
That was my wife. She's a doctor. She's an anesthesiologist. She's mixed. We have 6 kids. Yeah, it was my ex-wife. It was based on.
Well, congratulations. You've made me Charlie now. Thank you very much.
So, Kenya, when you were sitting around the dinner table, you just taking
Charlie
notes?
Is absolutely Deion Cole.
So you're at the dinner table. You're just taking notes. You're writing. Okay, here's next week's show. Here's the show after that. You just writing your life down, or what?
Bro, you have no idea exactly how right you are. That's exactly what happened.
Wow. Do you know he loves? Do you really love shoes that much, Jordans and whatnot?
If I could move this thing and show you, yes, bro. I'm too old now, so now I'm general release. But during that time, those 10 years, I was on every sneakerhead app and trying to get every free drop I could get. Yeah, I was spending way too much and kissing way too much butt to get shoes.
Okay, so at the very top, how many pairs of shoes did you own when at your most?
I don't know, maybe 400 or 500.
Wow.
My God, I love it.
I'm deeply impressed.
I love it. Yes.
If you're watching us on YouTube, I was impressed with the background that Kenya's got going on in his shot right now. Now I'm more impressed with the shoes. That's quite a setup you got there.
Yeah, the shoes are. I had to sell the shoes to get this background.
I bet you did.
I get it. You had to make a movie,
yes, sir.
As well. Jerry West, The Logo, has premiered on Amazon. Why did you decide that you wanted to make a documentary about Jerry West?
I mean, Jerry West wanted to make a documentary about Jerry West, and I got a chance to do it. And I was beyond blessed. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people wanted to do it. He met with people, and we hit it off. And for some reason, he made me feel seen, and he saw me and let me, tell his story. And I could not be more thankful that I got to be a chance to do it. But I think the real reason, the motivation, a lot of it behind it, is I think the portrayal of him on Winning Time, although I thought it was an entertaining show, I don't think he liked it. Obviously, that's a well-known thing. He was, really against his portrayal in that show, and I think it made him say, I want to tell my story.
Kenya, obviously, you're an L.A. guy, born in Inglewood, and worked in this business for a long time. Sports fan. Did you know the whole Jerry West story before you started working on this project? Did you learn things as you were going through it? What about Jerry did you know at the end that you didn't know at the beginning?
Oh, so much, man. I knew who Jerry West was, and I was a fan. You know what I'm saying? I knew that he was the logo. But when I got this project, I read his book, and his book was what made me personally really want to do the doc, because it was so just completely unflinching and honest. And I was touched by what he did. And then realizing what he did as a GM and the accomplishments he has as a player, I always, as a sports fan, knowing that this dude still has the highest playoff scoring average in a series with no three-point line is crazy. And he did that he was doing that with all mid-range jumpers. There was no dunks. It just was pure game. So, as a sports fan, as a player, I was a fan of his, but I will say I think that I'm willing to have an argument with anybody if you tell me a greater GM in any sport than Jerry West.
Well, I got the bio. It says it's not just basketball. It's about failure, leadership. It's about personal struggle. And that's when you said putting you guys together. That's a huge deal, man. He's trusting you with his life story. Like you said, it was put out, and it was very entertaining. I kind of liked that character, but it was a character. But to trust you to tell his true, authentic story, that's got to be a big deal for you.
Bro, it was beyond a big deal because it makes, everybody has that moment where you feel seen by somebody. And the fact that he walks in and I present as I present. You know what I'm saying? I'm a dude from L.A., you know what I'm saying? And I come in and I'm, kind of a little bit maybe sagging jeans or sweats on, some chains, and kind of like shooting the shit. And he saw beyond that and saw the storytelling. Like, he liked Blackish, and he saw the storytelling, and when we had a conversation, I think he wanted someone to authentically really talk about who he was, and not just as a fan, but just in terms of a narrative story. And I'm glad that he allowed me to do it.
Kenya, what was it like getting a chance to talk to all the people that you talked with about Jerry? You just got to talk to the who's who of everybody that's been in and around the NBA during his, 50 years around the league.
It blew my mind, man. It was, me and my boys would be like, oh, my God, it's Magic today. Oh, my God, it's this thing. Like, we kind of try. And you try to act cool because, you don't act like you want to be professional. But the one day I couldn't was MJ.
Oh, wow.
It was like, that one for me, like, blew me out the water. Like, it was a big deal. And he lived up to all the hype.
What was the connection between Jerry West and Michael Jordan? Obviously, they never worked on the same team at the same time. Did they just recognize game kind of situation?
You know what? You actually said it, honestly. There's a part that didn't make the doc, but it was really pivotal in changing how I sort of viewed and understood Jerry. Mike said that he always kind of sees, like, when he thinks about, like, if there's like a trilogy or trinity in the NBA for him, it was Jerry, him, and Kobe. And when he said that, I understood who Jerry was completely different. They were very close friends. They said they would not bet on the golf course against each other because they were too competitive, and they wanted to stay friends. But Mike said he would often call Jerry for advice. He said the way Jerry played was exactly how he played. Literally that cold, same way Kobe played, that coldness on the court. It was, it was business. They left it all on the court, and I feel like that's what Jerry did. That's what Kobe did. And when he said that, that same thing translated into their personal lives and how they sort of attack business and things like that. I got it. I got chills in talking to Mike.
It's fun. I was thinking, like, that might be what's missing in the NBA, that assassin mentality, that competitive. But I'm like, wait a minute, it's actually here. It's just in San Antonio.
Yeah.
It may be a 7'5" dude named Wemby. You know what I mean? That wants everything. I want everything. All championships. Real quick, going back to Blackish for one more second, because I got to know. Okay, who was Diane?
She's my daughter, Lola. She scares me.
Like, seriously. Like, she is terrifying.
She scares me. She was the kind of kid who I would sit down on the couch and try to watch stuff with her, and she just kind of stared at me. And I just like, okay, I'm going to go.
And I'm dying to know, when I told my brother that you're coming on, he said, you have to ask him what was up between Diane and Charlie, because we never found out. You never told me.
You want to hear something crazy that I've never even had a chance to talk about that? They created that on their own.
Really?
And then we were on the thing, and literally Dion, who's super funny, said Diane, and Marseille, who's just an unbelievable actor, back said Charles. And no one else had called him Charlie. His name was Charlie. Charlie Chelsea was his name on the page, and she picked up on it immediately. And I was like, oh, this is their enemies. And we literally wrote to it from that point on.
Every, like, episode scene, they would work it in, but they would never tell you what it was about.
I've seen the show.
Like,
I'm well aware of it. Yeah.
Know. Thank you for that.
That's great.
Diane.
Charles.
It was like they had met before and had some shit that went down. Had something going on that we didn't know about.
No doubt. Yes, sir.
Kenya Barris is our guest. He is a producer, a director, an actor, and he's the director of a new documentary on Prime Video, Jerry West, The Logo, which was just very recently released. Take me through the process of him coming to you, Kenya, and saying that he would like you to tackle this project, and you starting to, put it all together, and then obviously, we lost Jerry not that long ago. Did it change anything during the process of making the documentary?
I mean, for me, massively, if I'm going to be honest with you, because, if me and you sat down and we were like, let's do a show and a documentary about your life, it's me and you sitting down doing it, right? And we're going to talk. But once, if something unfortunate were to happen to you, it becomes not yours anymore. It's about you, but it becomes about your family. You know what I'm saying? I'm now living up to the legacy and, of a father, a friend, a husband, and the idea of what I was doing was no longer me and Jerry. It was something that I wanted to make sure that his family felt good about and that they could, they also felt like they were going to continue something without him being here. They wanted to make sure if they were going to do this, they had no reason to do it. But if they were going to do it, it was going to be done in a way that felt like something that they could sign off on and that their dad would sign off on.
As a filmmaker, okay, so you're covering athletes. You love sports. We love sports. Sports have a clock and a scoreboard. By the end of the clock, you know who won or lost. When you're making movies, making projects, how do you know when you're done? How do you know when I've got it?
You're never done. And most people who make film and TV, you're never truthfully done. You just have to, the teacher says pencils down, you know what I'm saying? And you kind of know that you have a deadline to meet, but you always, even when you're watching it, and it doesn't matter how big of a hit or how bad of a failure it is, you're like, I would have done that differently. Oh, I wish I could have more of that. Like, I just told you the whole thing about MJ, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wish, and looking back, I'm like, I wish we could have found a way to put that in, So I think you're never truly done, but you do feel like you do your best as long as you can, and then it's time to sort of wrap this up.
Kenya Barris is our guest here on the DeMarco and Travis Afternoon Show. He's the director of the new documentary, Jerry West, The Logo, on Prime Video. And, this goes back years and years of stories of Jerry and his competitiveness and his inability to just watch Laker games when he was the general manager, that he would get in his car and he would drive around and it would just make him literally sick to try to watch these games. Did you get a sense of that spending time with him? And was it as intense as all that? Because sometimes when you hear this stuff, it's like, okay, they're telling us a good story. They're making it compelling, so we'll all pay attention. It was that deep.
No, there was no cap in that at all. He may have not. It might even be worse than he made it seem. Like, he was. You know how your kids a few years ago they had those fidget spinners that came out?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Jerry could have used one of those during the time. Like they gave him a green car one year when he won some game, and he said it was like torture for him. But his son Ryan said the first time they went to Boston Garden, he had to leave. Wow. Because he was like, I'm feeling sick. And this was him as a GM. He was like, I can't be here. I'm feeling sick. Like, he legitimately was a superstitious dude who really, really, really bled purple and gold. And, the Celtics for him, nobody in their family to this day, they do not work. It's a thing. And it's not a joke. It's not like a whimsical thing. He's dead. He was dead serious about it.
I respect that. It's funny. I just tried a stress ball the other day.
It helped?
It actually works.
Yeah.
I did. It works. It really does. I should keep doing that.
It does work.
Absolutely. What do you do for stress? You got to be stressed making documentaries and TV shows.
I usually say, what do I do when I'm not stressed? Because all I do is stress. I don't know what I do for stress. I know what I need to be doing now. But I feel like, honestly, working for me, I never in a million years thought I'd be able to do what I do. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I am so unbelievably thankful. So I feel like that, for me, is stress relief, is being able to make good stuff. I feel like writer strikes and COVID and all that type of stuff, like, I feel like to be able to do this, coming from where I came from and, knowing how hard it is, I feel like that is a unbelievable stress relief for me.
Well, are you okay with the Clippers being knocked out by the Warriors?
I was with Top Dog yesterday, who's a huge, from TD, he's a huge Laker fan. He calls them the paper clips. Oh. He's like, you're on your way to paper clip game. So I was so mad because I took my boy to the game, and like 6 minutes in, he's like, you guys are going to win. I said, shut up.
Yeah, never say that.
He said that. Yeah. I was like, dude, I knew it. And all of a sudden, all of a sudden Al Horford's out. He has like a flashback from 10 years ago.
Draymond. Ooh.
And of course, Steph, who was my guy, who is supposed to be on minutes restriction, just can't miss. And Draymond gives me fucking. He's Ruben. He's the Kobe stopper.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, it is.
Oh my
God.
Was
crazy. It was. I feel like Draymond put on. That was in person. I have to be honest with you, because Kawhi is at his best, I would put him up against anyone playing in the NBA today. And if someone wants to argue that, like, at his best, he is he's one of the unholdables. I saw Draymond put on for me, one of the greatest defensive performances, fourth-quarter defensive performances I've ever seen. And then to pick him at the end was just like, it was already over, but to pick him at the end, it just was like, he zoned in.
Totally agree. 100%.
Kenya Barris is our guest. He's got a new documentary, Jerry West, The Logo, which is on Prime Video. And one last one for me, Kenya. And, I won't bore you with the details, but a friend of mine invited me to play golf one day. So I show up at the golf course, and I go to the first tee to get going with everybody. And Jerry was in the group. And I had never met Jerry. I had never been around Jerry. And I could not have been more intimidated in my entire life because, A, it's the logo. You're standing 4 feet away from him. He's big. And I knew that he was a really good golfer and all these things. And it took me a good hour and a half, a couple of hours to kind of get to the point where I was at least moderately less terrified. I don't know if I ever got comfortable, but I became a little less terrified. Did you, and obviously you've been around a lot of famous people. You've had a great deal of success in your life. Was there any of that with Jerry, an intimidation factor just because of who he is and what he had done?
At first, for sure. You know what I'm saying? At first, for sure. Because Jerry has he has a statesman, face that he puts on. He's an ambassador of the NBA, and, he's been so successful, been around so long. But once you get to know him, dude, he's one of the funniest dudes I've ever talked to. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is just like a dude's dude. You know what I'm saying? And he can be charming and polite around your kids and family, and then when you get around him with the guys, he says some shit that you're like, you immediately know, like, he's cut from the same cloth, he's not a different cloth, and he talks more shit than anybody, especially on the card table and on that golf course. Everybody was like, you do not want to go and have a bad day with Jerry on the golf course.
There was a moment when we're done and we're sitting in the grill afterwards, and he starts telling some stories, and everybody's laughing and everybody's having a good time, and it was just terrific. And I'm just sitting there with my mouth hanging open, just saying, this is the best 5 hours I've ever had in my life. And he looks at me and he goes, now, you can't tell anybody any of this stuff. And I'm like, oh, no, I never have. I've never told anybody any of the stories. But to your point, it's like when you got him in a very social environment like that, he was the most entertaining guy in the whole room. It was extraordinary.
Everyone who knows him, that's why, and getting people to come out, these docs are all hard. You know what I'm saying? But the reason it becomes hard is because you're not paying people for these interviews, right?
Yeah.
So when you get people to come out, you have to get their schedules. These are really, really hard, real hard schedules. These aren't just people saying them. These are people who are some of the biggest names in the world. You would be shocked at how quickly people said yes and made it work.
Wow. To
come out and speak to him, speak on him. And this is why he was here. This is before, people wanted to come out and speak about their times and their experiences, because it's, they say, like, a life lived is only as good as what you do for others. You know what I'm saying? The impacts you have on other people. And you really see how much of a life you live when you see people drop what they're doing and notice that every single person had an impactful story about Jerry West and how he changed their life or what he meant to them in their life. So, it kind of was like, for me, I made me really kind of thinking, I hope that, when my time comes, because that's one thing none of us are getting out of this alive. You know what I'm saying? So when my time comes, I hope that people can have some kind of stories about how I impacted their life.
Definitely.
Jerry West, The Logo, is streaming right now on Prime Video. Kenya Barris is the director. Kenya, it was a real pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on with us. I really enjoyed it.
Man, you guys, I'm a fan. You guys, like me and my brother, just so much. You guys we listen, and we love both of you guys. So thank you for having us.
Thank you, sir. Tell Pops I said hello.
That made my day right there. That was great.
My man.
Thank you, Kenya.
Yes, sir.
All right, take care.
That was fun.
Yeah.